Okay, I thought I'd take a minute. I was discussing sights the other day, and I thought I'd talk a little bit. One of the comments somebody made is about Williams making a peep sight that fits on these marlins. It actually bolts onto here. Okay, I have nothing really against the peep sight. I've got one on this 32 Special Winchester 94. It's a Williams, but this is where they had it of the big block of metal. And it works all right on that gun, which is why it's still on there, because at first I really had intended to take it off. The thing I got against them, they're not quick to adjust. Once they're very precise in the adjustment of them, but they're not quick to change. Like if you say, oh, I'm going to shoot 300 yards, well, you're kind of screwed. It takes a long time you have to zero it for a certain distance, and that's where it stays. Like this one I've got zeroed at 100. I can shoot 150, maybe at a stretch 200. The good part about the sight, the aperture is fairly big, so you can get a good picture very quickly. But it's not real precise because you've got a lot, there's a fairly big hole there, and you got to get that dot centered in it. So it's not real precise, but it works pretty good, and anybody can pick it up and it'll hit the same way. A lot of the problem you run into, like this is my 22 Magnum. It's got the, what they call, well, it's a buckhorn sight, but it's kind of a semi-buckhorn. The good part, this one is adjustable for different elevations. It's got like 8 adjustments in it, which is great. Like my 4570, I think I got 5. So I run out of adjustment on that. The thing about this one, though, there is no base adjustment. Like on the 4570, there's an insert in here that you can adjust up or down too. So I can zero it at the base setting and then go up from there. So that's nice, but like I say, I do run out of adjustment on it. I would actually, like this is a Mosin I got now. I really have no complaints about the Mosin. I think partly because I'm just really used to them, but they adjust very easily. They got an endless amount of adjustment, more than you'd ever need. It's really not a bad sight, and it's fairly easy to get a good sight picture. It doesn't take you a long time lining up. That's where this Argentine Mauser is a kind of a bugger. This notch in the sight is so incredibly small, it's actually very hard to get a quick sight picture with it. It can be precise, but it's hard to get it, actually the temptation is always there to file that a little bigger, but, you hate to grind on an old gun. But I do like this design, where then that notch part folds back, and then you have the ladder type adjustment, which actually works very well. But there again, that notch is awfully small. I'd love it if I could get, this buckhorn type sight on this type of sight, and then allow it to flip up. I think that would be great. When they could do it on a Marlin, you could actually make it so it mounted on here. That would work fine. As far as peep sights go, like I said, the problem, even with the ones that go on here, not quick to readjust them. It works all right on this gun because I've got it set for 100, and it works there. And the limitations of a 32 Special or a 30-30, you really aren't doing the long range stuff anyway. But one of the nicest peep sights I've seen was on an old lever action Winchester Model 95 in the 30-40 Craig, and that came with a factory alignment peep sight. It was mounted on here, but it pivoted, and there was a lever that you toggled to loosen it, and there was calibrations on it. You could just flip it, slide it to the calibration you needed, lock it back down. I was tempted to buy that gun partly because I like the idea of that sight. That looked like a really good way of doing it. But like I say, what I'd really like to have is a ladder type sight like this with a buckhorn type base. I think that'd be the best of both worlds. But, you know, even with these type of sights, everybody looks at them a little different. You know, you kind of develop a way that you look at them. Because I know I one time had a 44 Magnum that I borrowed to somebody that I had shot 2 deer with it that year. And he took it out, claimed it was shooting 6 feet high. Well, now, I don't know quite how he was looking at that sight, but it wasn't the same way I was looking at it. And, you know, like I say, I'm not into scopes because they're just too easy to knock out of adjustment. And I certainly ain't using them battery-operated things. I do like basic sights. But like I say, this Mauser is it's a tough sight. You know, but I like the design. It's just that little groove is way too small, and the blade on the front is a little bit too wide. You know, it works, but you can't be in a big hurry. That's where this peep sight, I can pull that up and immediately be on target, relatively on target. And you have a wide field of view, so you aren't, you know, you can change the apertures to a smaller aperture and it'll be more precise, but it limits your field of view. You know, this is fairly wide. So this works, you just got to be sure to center it, or, you know, use some judgment on going over the center. But like I say, I can live with these marlin sights. I don't want to lock myself into a peep sight that I can't easily adjust. Though I think Williams does make a type that has like a thumb wheel on it that you can adjust them. But I want something simple. And like I say, this slider type, you know, I've seen that on old Winchesters, and that's actually what I'm looking for. Though I did see a sight that a gunsmith showed me that came from an old Winchester that was a blade, or a buckhorn type sight, but it was 3 leaves to it, and you could flip up different leaves for different ranges. You know, that was an interesting sight. I'm not interested enough to jump at it, because there again you only had 3 settings. You know, at least on this I've got 5. But it was interesting nonetheless. But this would be ideal, where you aren't clicking into a certain spot, it just slides and locks. You know, it's those stiff little springs that hold it in place. I like that. But I can live with this. It just, like I say, I do run out of adjustment. And the tang mounted peep sights, I always have a problem with them, because, you know, they're mounted back here. Well, the bolt on a marlin comes way back there, plus then it's right in your way, you know, and I kind of snuggle my hand in there. So tang mounted on a lever gun isn't for me. Well, like I say, I can work with this. Well, maybe I have to devise one of my own.